Families of the victims and organizations representing sex workers are celebrating following the sentencing of self-confessed murderer Sifiso Mkhwanazi. This is as they have been calling for a lengthy prison sentence for Mkhwanazi, who admitted to 2 separate admissions to the rape. In March 2024, the Johannesburg High Court sitting in Palm Ridge found Mkhwanazi guilty on multiple charges. And on Wednesday, 18 September 2024, he was sentenced to 6 life terms plus 170 years imprisonment for 6 counts of rape, 6 of murder, 6 of defeating the ends of justice, possession of unlicensed firearms and ammunition, as well as theft. The courts further declared him to be a dangerous criminal, citing that the community should be protected from him. Furthermore, he was ordered to undergo imprisonment for an indefinite period, with the court stating that he should return to the courts after serving 30 years of the imposed sentence, for the court to hold an inquiry to determine whether he is still a danger to society or not. Mkhwanazi, now 21 years old, was arrested nearly 2 years ago after the discovery of 6 decomposed bodies in his father's panel beating workshop in Johannesburg. While he admitted to killing the woman, Mkhwanazi claimed that the murders were not premeditated. He claimed he killed the woman because they demanded more money after he had sex with them, a defense the court ultimately rejected. The women were killed between April and October 2022. Mkhwanazi, who was 19 at the time, was arrested on the 9th of October 2022 after the grim discovery. Following a report of a foul odor in building in Johannesburg Central, police were dispatched to the location. Upon further investigation, the body of a female was discovered. Based on the initial findings at the scene, authorities arrested him. Police spokesperson Aslenda Matse said 5 more bodies were discovered at a very late stage of decomposition outside the building in a sort of a driveway where there are rubbish bins. Mkhwanazi lured 6 Zimbabwean sex workers to a panel beating workshop in central Johannesburg, where he tied them up, raped them and strangled them. He claimed he choked the women and later bound their feet and hands. Some victims were gagged. Only one was shot dead by a gun he unlawfully took from his father. The postmortems recorded the cause of death in 5 of the bodies as consistent with strangulation and or suffocation, whilst the 6th body's postmortem determined the cause of death to be that of a gunshot wound to the head. The 6 bodies were found in different stages of decomposition at different locations at the workshop premises. In March 2024, Judge Kasim Musa delivered a judgment before a full gallery. In his judgments, Judge Musa stated that after thoroughly analyzing all the evidence, he concluded that Mkhwanazi unlawfully engaged in sexual intercourse with all the deceased. The judge further remarked that the accused unlawfully and intentionally obstructed the course of justice by concealing the bodies of the deceased, actions which hindered the administration of justice. Mkhwanazi was convicted of killing 6 sex workers, all of whom were from Zimbabwe. He claimed that the victims had demanded additional payments after engaging in sexual acts with him. However, the judge, after considering the merits and demerits of the case, rejected Mkhwanazi's accounts, deeming it false beyond reasonable doubts. The courts also found that Mkhwanazi premeditated all the murders and concealed his victims' bodies in an attempt to evade arrest. The courts acquitted Mkhwanazi on a charge of robbery with aggravating circumstances and convicted him on an alternative charge of theft of a cell phone belonging to one of the 6 victims. Throughout the proceedings, Mkhwanazi remained stoic and emotionless, keeping his head lowered as the verdict was read. In July 2024, Mkhwanazi was sent to Sterkfontein Psychiatric Hospital for a risk assessment. Prosecutor Leswigani Mashabela said it was the state's intention to do so. I quote, "The reason is violence and that there was a pattern. He poses a risk. He didn't just murder them. He targeted certain people. He is a danger to sex workers. He is a dangerous criminal." Close quotes. Defense advocate Vuyo Madekuka was not opposed to his clients being referred for mental observation. Musa ordered that Mkhwanazi go for a mental evaluation before being sentenced. He said while this won't change his conviction, it could impact his sentence. The evaluation was to check if he is a danger to society. A psychiatric report found that Sifiso Mkhwanazi doesn't show any signs of mental illness. It's also confirmed that he was clear-headed and not psychotic during the evaluation. The reports concluded that Mkhwanazi did not express remorse for his actions or crimes. Presenting his findings from the mental assessment report in August 2024, Dr. Chetty and the other experts said they did not get any evidence during the assessment interviews of any mental illness. He further on went to say that, but that they meant that he, Mkhwanazi, did not show any symptoms that indicated that he was out of touch with reality. When asked by the judge if Mkhwanazi should benefit as an individual from a short period of imprisonment or he should be rehabilitated for a long time, Chetty responded that he believed Mkhwanazi should receive a lengthy sentence. Has said, and I quote, "Taking account into the nature of the offences and the opinion we come to from the interview, this is not a short process of rehabilitation we are to achieve any degree of success. We would think that he requires a much longer containment period with interventions, and hence we make the recommendation that in the event that he is considered for parole, we are happy to do a reassessment to then advise the courts." Close quotes. Chetty also mentioned that the doctors looked at how likely it was for Mkhwanazi to make progress in his rehabilitation. He added that the doctors were of the opinion that the chances of Mkhwanazi being rehabilitated are not great, but they will, however, still make the recommendation so that they give him a chance. He said it is difficult to say if he will rehabilitate or not, but they do give him a chance considering his age as well. The probation officer, Xolisa Budaza, presented her pre-sentencing report. She told the courts about what she learned from Mkhwanazi, his dad Michael Khumalo, and his sister. The court was told about his behavior, relationships, and education background. Mkhwanazi was raised by his single mom who made a living selling knitted hats and mats in town. When he was 14, his mother passed away right in front of him as he was being taken into an ambulance after collapsing. He told the probation officer that his mother's death was painful to him, and after the death, he was confused. At this time, he moved in for 2 months with his sister who was living in a student accommodation. In December 2017, when he was 15, he moved in with his dad in Foursquare, where he lived with his stepmother, 2 sisters, a paternal aunt, and her 2 children. In 2018, he enrolled at a boarding school, Shoshanguve Islamic Institute, and attended until 2019. According to his father, Mkhwanazi's mother would complain that he was troublesome at school, so he decided to attend an Islamic school. The father told the probation officer that when he started living with him, he never presented with behavioral problems. Budaza told the courts, open quotes, he wasn't attending school when he lived with his father. He worked at his father's Johannesburg workshop situated in an area where sex workers operated. Mkhwanazi has memories of his mother. He claimed his mother's passing hurt him. He witnessed her mother taking her last breath. Mkhwanazi last had friends when he was in primary school. He didn't have friends when he moved in with his father. He only interacted with his father employees. He would see sex workers and developed an interest. Close quotes. His first sexual encounter was with a sex worker at the age of 15. He told the probation officer he believed the woman to whom he lost his virginity was in her mid-20s. The report stated he never had girlfriends. He claimed he was shy by nature. He was not confident in approaching females and asking them to take them out. He only had relationships with sex workers starting at the age of 15. He then increased using their services. He would sleep with 6 sex workers in 4 days, and at times he would sleep with 2 sex workers in 1 day. He claimed sex workers would engage in conversations with him. Some would show concern regarding his age. Others advised him to stop using their services before he became addicted. Close quotes. Mkhwanazi was able to hide his hookups with sex workers from his dad and co-workers by meeting them at the park. The report reads, during the COVID-19 pandemic, he stopped using sex workers, but when regulations were relaxed, he continued requesting those services. When probed on his desire to return to sex workers and what he believed maintained these habits, he explained that he believes that he developed an addiction to sex workers and none of his family members suspected. When probed on his frequency on the need to have sex, he explained that at times it would just cross his mind to have sex. He would respond by getting a sex worker. He further understood sex to be fulfilling the need for pleasure. Close quotes. His sister described him as someone who is more in touch with his feelings than she is. The court papers read, "He is the type of person to analyze his experiences and things that he is exposed to." She was shocked by the offences as she still struggles to link them to the accused. However, she believes that their father's character had an influence on his personality. She explained that growing up, their father would expose them to other women apart from his wives. However, the accused experienced that more as she lived with him. Close quotes. In 2021, Mkhwanazi was arrested for the rape of a sex worker and spent 10 months in jail awaiting trial. The matter was later withdrawn. Budaza says, open quotes, after his release, he developed an aggression that resulted in him committing the offences. His experience in detention wasn't pleasant. He was exposed to drugs. He couldn't enlighten me on what was unpleasant for him in prison that warranted so much aggression to a certain population of only Zimbabwe sex workers. He had a criterion of women he chose to victimize. Mkhwanazi claimed he was wrongfully accused and that made him angry. Close quote. The probation officer recommended that Mkhwanazi be sentenced to direct imprisonment. On the 18th of September 2024, Judge Musa described Mkhwanazi as a danger to society. He expressed his views before handing down his sentence.
That lawlessness and abuse of women will simply not be tolerated. The level of crime has reached dangerously alarming proportions. Sekwanele, enough is enough. The accused may rise.
Musa sentenced Mkhwanazi to 6 life terms.
Considering that the prescribed minimum sentence for the murder on counts 3, 6, 9, 12 and 15 is life imprisonment, all determinate sentences of incarceration imposed by the court run concurrently with the sentence of life imprisonment on count 3.